Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're doing something a little bit different and frankly, pretty incredible. We are bridging the gap between a profound 1903 philosophical masterpiece and a highly tactical 2026 personal operating system. We're going to dive into James Allen's absolute classic text, As a Man Thinketh, and see exactly how its timeless principles of mental mastery are radically enhanced by MyCS, a system derived from the high-stakes life-or-death protocols of fire and emergency services. It's a fascinating collision of poetic Victorian philosophy and modern tactical execution, built specifically for navigating everyday chaos.
Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap for today. We'll start with 1. The architecture of thought. Then 2. The personal operating system. 3. The daily command cycle. 4. Aligning thought with purpose. And finally 5. Serenity through systematic action.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the architecture of thought, or, as we'll look at it, the mind as a garden.
So, writing way back in 1903, James Allen proposed a pretty radical idea for his time. He argued that we don't just react to our circumstances, we are literally the makers of ourselves. He uses this beautiful analogy, saying that just as a plant springs from a seed, our circumstances and our character spring directly from our hidden thoughts. I mean, think about a physical garden. If you just leave it alone, it doesn't stay perfectly pristine and empty, right? Weeds blow in, they take over completely. It is the exact same thing with your mind. If you don't intentionally plant good, strong thoughts, useless and negative thoughts will naturally take root. Your mind is always producing something. The only question is, are you the one choosing the harvest? Think about your own day. When you're doom scrolling or stressing over a minor inconvenience, those are literally the weeds taking over. You absolutely have to be intentional.
But that brings up a critical transition, and honestly, a point of friction you've probably felt yourself. If we are supposed to be the master gardeners of our minds, where on earth are our tools? Because, let's be real, philosophy without execution usually just falls flat. It's incredibly inspiring to read that we're the captains of our souls, but how do we actually cultivate this mental garden amidst the absolute chaos of modern life? A physical gardener has a shovel, a rake, and a watering can. What are our tactical tools for the mind?
And that brings us to Section 2, the personal operating system. Enter MyCS.
To answer that question of tools, we turn to the MyCS user manual. This is an app designed as a personal operating system, and the contrast here is just fascinating. MyCS applies the Quantum Command System framework, which is deeply rooted in high-stakes emergency services and incident command protocols, to everyday civilian life. Now, Allen poetically talks about man being the master weaver of his inner garment of character. MyCS takes that lofty 1903 ideal and gives it the rigid, supportive spine used by incident commanders standing in front of blazing fires. It organizes your life through 8 specific command positions, things like operations, intel, and logistics, and 9 life domains like career, health, finance, and relationships. It literally provides a highly structured command hierarchy for your everyday thoughts.
Now check out what's really interesting here. This is how MyCS takes that abstract concept of your evolving character and turns it into measurable, actionable data points. Your level of mastery in any area of your life isn't just a vague feeling anymore, it's strictly quantified. As you can see, 30% of your domain score comes from habits, 20% from tasks, 15% from objectives. James Allen told us that ACT is the blossom of thought. Well, this precise breakdown is exactly how you measure those blossoms to ensure your garden is growing in the direction you actually want, rather than just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best.
Moving right along to Section 3, the daily command cycle, weeding and planting.
So the crucial point here is that you have to apply this architecture every single day to stop the weed seeds Allen warned us about. You can't just go out and cultivate a garden once a year, right? It requires a daily loop of observing, weeding, and planting. In MyCS, you start with a morning briefing. You review yesterday, you set your priorities, you check the status of your domains to see what actually needs attention, you look at your operations schedule, and finally, you confirm and launch. That last step is absolutely key. That's where you define the one thing, the single outcome that matters most for your day. By taking just 5 minutes to establish that one thing, you ensure that even if the rest of your day completely goes off the rails into chaos, your most critical seed has been firmly planted.
And we can see a direct operational upgrade here when we look at how to end the day. Where Allen poetically talks about weeding out wrong or useless thoughts, MyCS gives you a highly structured evening debrief. Specifically, I want to highlight the improve step. Instead of just feeling terrible about a failure, which, let's be honest, just plants more negative weeds, MyCS literally forces you to record obstacles and logically process each item as a next-time improvement. It turns your failure into actionable intelligence. This essentially prevents those negative thoughts from taking root at all, perfectly prepping your mental soil for tomorrow.
And all of this daily effort generates what MyCS calls a daily command score. By weighting habit completion at 25%, task completion at 20%, and your morning briefing planning at 15%, this system gives you the objective truth you need to ensure you're actually cultivating your garden rather than just drifting along. It keeps you brutally honest with yourself. As Alan famously wrote, "Men do not attract what they want, but what they are." Well, this daily math tells you exactly who you are being day in and day out.
Next up is Section 4, Aligning Thought with Purpose. Intent to action.
Moving forward, we really have to address the ultimate danger of aimlessness in our mental garden. Because you can have the absolute best tools in the world, but if you don't actually know what you're trying to build, you are going to fail. Alan states explicitly that we must set a central purpose in our hearts and rigorously exclude all doubts and fears if we want to become true wielders of mental power. He viewed aimlessness as an actual vice. He warned that if you let your thoughts just drift upon the vast, unpredictable ocean of life, you'll inevitably fall prey to petty worries and fears. You have to focus your thought forces upon a very specific object.
And this brilliantly illustrates how MyCS forces Alan's philosophical concept of purpose into a rigorous workflow to basically guarantee that intelligent accomplishment. When you have a major goal, MyCS doesn't just let you scribble it on a sticky note and forget about it. It utilizes a 6-stage mission planner, which directly mirrors how emergency responders tackle a crisis. You assess the situation, you define the commander's intent, which is your ultimate desired end state. You set specific objectives, determine the tactics to achieve them, gather your resources, and then you execute. It takes the drifting bark of thought and gives it a massive engine, a rudder, and a highly detailed navigational chart.
Finally, we reach Section 5, Serenity through Systematic Action, the ultimate result.
Let's look at the final destination of this entire journey. If we successfully cultivate our mental garden, if we execute our daily routines and align our thoughts with purpose, what's the actual prize? Well, according to Alan, it's total serenity. This exquisite poise of character isn't just luck. It is the natural fruitage of a well-governed soul and ripened experience. I want you to think of the calm, steady voice of a 911 dispatcher or an incident commander on scene. Because that commander has learned how to govern himself through the understanding of cause and effect, he's no longer buffeted by random circumstances. He completely ceases to fuss, fume, worry, and grieve. He remains perfectly poised, no matter what's burning down around him.
But how do you actually maintain that elite perspective when you're down in the trenches of normal, messy life? You do it by utilizing structured SITRPs, or situation reports. MyCS prompts you to review your performance daily, weekly, monthly, biannually, and annually. By constantly forcing yourself to zoom out to look at the data, reviewing trends, objective progress, and historical charts, MyCS provides the exact systematic equanimity required to maintain that peaceful, storm-proof mindset Alan described. You aren't just emotionally reacting to one bad Tuesday. You are calmly managing long-term trends.
When you combine the timeless truth that your thoughts literally dictate your reality with a quantum personal operating system derived from emergency command structures, you unlock what is arguably the ultimate toolkit for human achievement. You stop being a passive victim of circumstance, and you become the architect of your environment. You weave the inner garment of character and the outer garment of circumstance with total tactical precision. So, as you go about the rest of your day, take a hard look at your own daily protocol. Look at your habits, your routines, your systems. Ask yourself if you actually have the right tools in place to truly master your thoughts, or if you're just leaving your destiny up to chance and wandering weeds. Remember, you are the master gardener of your soul. So as we wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you with this. Are you intentionally cultivating your mind, or are you just letting the weeds grow? It's time to take command.